Hello everyone. We're going to now take a look at comparing the mean and the median. I have taken an example from your textbooks. This is example number 35 on chapter 2. And I have already gone through and made a histogram of this data, and we'll come back to this in a second. Just a really quick reminder, here I have example from this table is found on page 17. This is the table of the Iowa test scores. So I am simply going to take all this data and make a histogram. I'll show you again in Excel how we can make a histogram really easily. So I am just going to click data. I'm going to say data analysis, histogram. Unlike the data analysis that I might use in Google, I have to remember select this little box here to say this is the range I want. Now notice I'm going to just select column A because I want you to see what's going to happen. I want to output this range. I want to just put this graph right here. So I click that, and then I want to make sure the chart output is clicked. But when I hit OK, it says there's non-numeric data. It doesn't know what to do with the number score. So that's why in this one, I need to, when I'm selecting this, I need to start at 2 and I need to go all the way down. Honestly, I think it's a lot better just to know how many of those things there are ahead of time. Be able to count the data. So for example, there's 948 things there. So it's going from A2 to A948. And now when I do this and hit OK, it's going to put that histogram on here. Now the ones in Excel, remember we do have a little bit more control over what it does. I wanted to take this one and kind of put it up as an example compared to the other one. When we're taking a look at the shape of these two histograms, I would hope that you would recognize that the one over here is a little bit skewed. All right, we've got a lot of data over here on the left-hand side. Remember, we say that this is skewed to the right simply because of what's going on over here. So I'm going to kind of mark this up a little bit and say, look at this, how this data just jumps up here and then comes all the way, and then it goes, we've got this long tail. Remember, this is skewed to the right. Whereas this data over here, we would tend to say this data over here is a little bit more symmetric. I mean, there's obviously some things going on here. There's some really tall ones and whatnot, but this data is a little bit more symmetric. It's not perfect, but it never is. Now, I want to show you that because when we compare the mean and the median of this data, we're going to have some interesting things happen with the mean and median. Because the mean, we say the mean gets influenced by these outliers, by these extremes. So the mean is heavily, I think is even what the text says, heavily influenced by extreme values. Whereas the median is really a good measure of center. So let's just take a look and quickly use Excel to show the power of that. So I'm going to stop inking over here, and just right here I'm going to say I want to know what the median, and there's the median in Excel. So I'm going to hit tab to do that. I want the median of all the numbers in column A, and I want the average of all the numbers in column A. All right, so when I'm taking a look at these things, here's the median, 102. That's in this bin. This bin goes from 43 to 112. So the median is right here. Whereas the average, 141, falls in this bin. So the average is over here. And they're not too far, but notice how the tail has pulled that average a little bit further. The data over here is closer to the symmetric. So let's see how close it is to being, purely symmetric. We're going to do the median of column A, and notice I'm just doing A colon A. And we are going to do the average of A. Again, I could have selected it. Notice how close together those are. 6.8. Both the median and the average are falling in this column right here between 6.7 and 7.4. So they are right here. pretty much right in the middle of where this thing is overall. I can't draw straight, but you get the idea. That's where both the median and the average are. So just remember, the average gets pulled towards that skewed tail whenever you're doing that. It gets pulled by those extremes and those outliers. If we were to take a look at this one and cut out these outliers, if we were to call them that, we would have an average and a mean, or an average and a median that are closer together, a mean and a median. So one other final note, because I didn't put it in the last one, is that a lot of times we would say the median, capital M, is 102.5, and the average, in this case I'll call it X bar, is 141. We'll say 8.5 as we take a look at it. Really, if I'm looking at this, I don't have any reason to be able to use decimal points. We start getting into significant digits. I'd have to say, the median is 103 and the average is 142. I'd round it to the whole number because none of our data contains a decimal point, so my answers probably shouldn't either. But that's getting a little bit beyond that. So that is just taking a look at the median and the mean and how they kind of get adjusted, or the mean kind of follows that skewed tail.